the gas pedal, that throttle, then immediately you have power. Petrol engines are slower.
Fast, charged, electromobile. Welcome to EV Generation, a place where the future becomes reality.
Welcome to another episode of EV Generation podcast, where we guide you through topics from ecology and technology to lifestyle and e-mobility trends. My name is Marina. I am passionate about e-mobility, sustainable transportation and ecology. And my guest today is Micke Bern, co-founder of STCC, and I'm so excited to have a possibility to talk with you.
Yeah, nice to be here.
Very nice. My pleasure. So the world first national championship totally electric has just happened. How do you feel? Because I'm full of emotions. I'm so excited because of that, because really I feel like I was witnessing a history of new motorsport, of sustainable motorsport, and you was a creator and organizer. So how do you feel?
It feels great. It's been a journey. There's been ups and downs, but we did a great premiere, and I couldn't be more than happy. So it's a good start, and from this point on, I think we've proven that electric racing is here to stay as well. So we're just excited for the future.
Yeah, and that it is possible.
Yeah, and that is possible. Yeah, I think that's if you look into all the racing culture, and you talk to fans, they just say they don't believe in it. So I think we've proven that it is possible, and also that it can be great action.
STCC has a long history, so it was founded in 1996. From
Yes.
1996 to 2010, STCC ran and organized of larger Sweden's arena and TV sports. Then, as I understand, it was quite long break, and then you're coming up back with totally new ideas, that it will be totally new format, that all STCC teams will drive 100% electric, 550 horsepower cars. It's the most powerful cars in the history of championship. So, how this idea come up?
I think it was founded in 1996, and we've had I would say front-wheel driven cars, four-wheel driven cars, rear-wheel driven cars, but mainly everyone who comes from the go-kart up to racing is used to running with rear-wheel driven action. And I think that is one perspective to actually bring to the topic, that we actually have a car now that is powerful, it's rear-wheel driven, just as the electric cars on that goes in the street. They're either rear-wheel driven or four-wheel driven. So I mean, we have a lot of power, and the torque is in the right end of the car. So from a sporting perspective, I think we have gained a lot from going from the front-wheel driven touring cars, also going from combustion engines where we have to use petrol, and I mean, it's not so. It's when you look at it from another perspective, it's not so clean. So I mean, coming to a city like Gothenburg, Helsingborg, Stockholm, Uppsala, or whatever city we will run in, it wouldn't be possible if we weren't electric. So that is also one main. When we started to talk about it, it was just correct to go this way. The challenges are, though, I mean, to run racing heats just as long as before. I mean, there's a lot of temperature issues with regular race cars. I mean, what wouldn't there be in an electric car? So there's been a journey just to develop the right package together with the EPVR as well. So I mean, it's but I think we did prove this weekend that we actually didn't have any issue with any car. There was the only issue that was some of the cars banging into the barriers, but I mean, that was minor damages. So I'm really satisfied with there was a great amount of action, but the cars did work all the way through. So we couldn't be more than satisfied. So.
That's true. Is that true? Because for me, it was like, okay, everything is possible. It's just a question of innovating and people creativity and engagement. And what is your personal story? How do you connect it with motorsport, with STCC? How you come to this point?
Oh, well, I think it was all about from the first point. It was adrenaline. I mean, I didn't have any family with background in racing. I think it was all about cars, sports cars, regular cars, racing. You get
you was
involved.
A driver.
Yeah, and I got involved with go-karting. So I started with go-karting quite late, and then I won the Nordic Championship, and then I went up the ladder to Formula cars and went through Carrera Cup and STCC, and then I ran in the Nürburgring 24 hours, like 3 years. Then I went back to race into the Swedish touring cars again, and all of a sudden we had a challenge there where STCC went bankrupt. So that was a point where I stopped as a driver, and actually I got a bunch of guys together, investors, and said, hey, shouldn't we just buy the brand and start it all up again? And then when I presented the all electric STCC, there was some complaints, but I did actually, I mean, we had to convince people that this is the right way to go. And I think also for, I mean, we are running we need to do our part of a greener journey as well. So we just, I mean, what wouldn't be better? I mean, we need the commercial partners with us to be able to run the sport. So I mean, now we can work with all companies because we're sustainable. So, and I think also it's about one part is about STCC doing that kind of journey, but we do also need the racing community, and we need to address all the petrol fans as well, to show that this is possible and actually show that this is the great action.
Spectacular.
Yeah. So I mean we shouldn't exclude anyone. We should include everyone. So, and I think also coming into Gothenburg is the correct way to do it. I mean, we can do it in the center of Gothenburg, and I think this was a starting point. Yeah. And we're not even we haven't completed the first lap yet. So I mean, there's a journey to make as well as an event organizer. To do something in the middle of a city the first time is quite challenging, and I mean I worked with events in 2008. I would say it's never easy to start something new. So now we just need to twist this event and just do it better and more explosive year by year.
And how long does it take from the idea, from this point to say, okay, I want to do STCC in new format, totally electric, to this first race in the city center of Gothenburg? And what was the most difficult parts, the biggest challenges? Maybe you had such moments that, okay, I want to stop, I don't want to go. What helped you to get here?
Yeah, well, I think there's always a point in a project where you feel, oh my God, what have I done? But it's all about having the right people beside you. And I think when we started, I would say in 2021, we were quite decided to go electric. Then 2022, we presented the all-electric STCC in Helsingborg, and that was also, then we were committed to do a city event. Then we did have some ups and downs. I mean, for example, 2023 without any kind of racing at all. That was a challenge, and I would say it isn't over yet, because we still do have some heavy luggage. But I would say this event in Gothenburg was quite important to actually nail it, and there's always challenges to do that, and it has been a journey. But to plan the event itself, I would say it takes a year. To just, when you have a new, you might not even know where to do the event. Then you have to do everything around to just check if, I mean, the checklist for this kind of event is it's
Huge.
it's a big one. It's a huge one. So, but also I would say to work with Gothenburg as a city is it's a pure pleasure, because they are really involved as well. So it would never have been as good as it was now if it weren't for Gothenburg. And I think that is also something to bring when we do the discussions with new cities as well, that we just bring everything up to the surface that needs to be in place to do this kind of event.
Organization such races lies on cooperation and partnership. So you cooperate with cities of Gothenburg to be able to do these urban races in the city center. You also have this 12 brand new STCC cars manufactured by car manufacturers. You need energy, you need infrastructure. Was it difficult to find these partners, to convince them to this idea of total electric races?
I mean, the challenge was to actually how to charge the cars when running the regular races, because we don't have that amount of energy or the power that we need on a racetrack, because it's quite much energy. I mean, every battery in the cars is 45 kilowatts, and we need to charge. We can only charge with 40 kilowatt hours, so it takes kind of a long time. But also, it's like 500 kilowatts we need to put in the cars every single time we have driven. So it really, the demand is quite big, and we needed both an energy partner, energy storage partner, and a charging partner to be able to get the whole series to work. And I would say I mean, we got together with Atlas Copco after many discussions, and they had a good solution with an energy storage that was made for moving, because we need to move those
different places
to different places, and also we need it to be reliable and safe, and they had the right product for doing that. And that product is actually for like a rental purpose when you need an electric vehicle to be charged. It could be a truck, for example, a mining truck, and then you need that kind of storage to be able to charge the truck, and then you recharge the power bank, and then you can go back again and charge the truck when it's empty. So I mean, it's just the same thing we're doing, but we're doing it quite fast with a lot of cars. And then we needed a supplier for chargers, and that is also, I mean, there's a big safety. I mean, safety was the biggest, I wouldn't say, but the biggest challenge to find a charger that was. It needed to be reliable, but also stable. And I would say also monitoring the charging as well, because it's not a problem to find maybe a good DC charger, but we need to monitor everything. And that software was something that Ekoenergetyka had, and also the what do you call it, the support from Ekoenergetyka as well, that we can do a lot of over the air as well. So that is also something that we think is really good. We don't always need a technician from Poland to be on site. We can have them over the air and find solutions. But mainly the charging of the cars have never been the big issue with the Ekoenergetyka chargers. I would say they have been working, and if there would have been an issue at any time, there's a good support side from Ekoenergetyka. The problem is, or the challenge is to use the energy storage systems. It's brand new from Atlas Copco as well. So just we have them on island mode, sometimes we have them connected to the grid, but this comes down to having the right people. Again, it I would say it's just a people business as well. We need to have the right people on board.
That's true. So for me, it was very impressive that when we are talking about total electric racing, we are not talking only about racing cars, about storage, about charges, also about green energy, and you also transport it by trucks that use biofuel. So it's really, I'm impressed that it's totally complete sustainable approach to organization.
Yeah, and we would love to also run the trailers and the power banks with electric trucks. At the moment it's not allowed, and that is something we need to address to the government, that we are not allowed to do the transportation of the energy system, storage systems with electric trucks, and that's a regulation that needs to be changed. At the moment we are transporting with biofuel trucks, but it's as good as it gets. So
you said that the challenge was that cars has a battery 45 kilowatts, and you need a big amount of power, so 500 kilowatts power for every car. So how do you organize charging process? I mean, I guess they start with full power battery, then it was short session between races. So how do you organize it?
We do the cars are charged to 90% state of charge. The energy storage systems are mainly, when they arrive to the track, they are about 80%, and then we charge them to 90, because that's the most that we can use, the most energy we can use. So then we do the heats, we go back to charging, and we fill them up. We recharge to 90% state of charge again, and at the meantime we would be able to run the power banks at island mode, but at the moment we're on the limit, so we don't want to be too close to the limit at the moment, so we have had them connected to the grid, but actually we with 4 energy storage systems, like 4 power banks, we have a total amount of about 2 megawatt hours, and that is mainly what we need in island mode to be able to recharge all the cars for the driving that we do. So we would be able to just bring the power banks to the track and do the racing, and then go back and recharge. But at the moment it's better to be connected to the grid, because then there's it's more safe. And more, if there would happen anything with one power bank, for example, it's good that we have the connection to the grid, because then we can have the state of charge on the power banks at a good level. So if there would happen anything with one power bank, we would still be able to do the race as it's scheduled. So it's also, of course, it's good not to go down too low on state of charge. When we go back, we have a lot of work just to recharge the storage system. There's a lot of things you don't think about. But for example, to charge one power bank, well, it takes 12 hours. So times 4, I mean, it's two days. To just recharge. So it's better when we get back from the track to have them on 50%, because then it's just 1 day to recharge them. So
and how long does it take to charge one car?
It takes depends on the state of charge when the car arrives from the track, but I would say somewhere between 30 to 50 minutes.
And what is energy usage of such car during racing?
Depends totally on the track. But we keep the tracks quite short, so it's I would say as long as we have long straights and full power, we have a higher amount of usage. But I would say that compared doing this city track, for example, I would say we are using less than a petrol car. And much less. But I wouldn't. I mean, I'm not the engineer, and it was the first time we ran yesterday and Saturday. So I mean, I don't have the numbers, But I would say on this short kind of track that we ran here in Gothenburg, it's much less than running with a petrol car. Much less.
You have presented totally new format of racing, head-to-head format. Could you tell about this format, about these tracks? You told this short, but it's just another type of racing.
Yeah, it is. We for example, we started track building on Monday. The track was finished, I would say, Wednesday at lunch, 2.5 days. And now it's Monday today, so I mean we raced yesterday. Now the track is almost gone. So in total we have used about 4 days, I would say, to build and restore. That is kind of short period of time to build a track. So I mean we don't have a huge I mean that we don't. There's not a big issue with building that kind of track in that short of amount of time for the city itself. I mean the traffic, I don't think we have even disturbed any traffic in Gothenburg. So it's quite good concept as well. And then the race itself is quite clear because we do like a quarterfinal, semifinal, final, and that is, I mean, for the regular fans, they have probably seen that kind of concept in the Race of Champions, so they know about that kind of concept. For the regular sport fan, well, it's like ice hockey and Stanley Cup, for example, or any playoff. So it's just the same. And also it's very clear because one driver, you have 2 cars on the grid that races each other with 10 seconds difference between them, and the slowest one is not passing through. So I mean the winner goes ahead in the playoff. So it's very clear for the fans on the track as well.
What situation when the second car catches the first one?
Then if the second car would catch the first one or the other way around, then the car that is caught is not going through. So it's but I mean we could see now when we did this kind of racing, we had about, I mean the final was like 0.05 of a second between the drivers. So it's, I mean it's nothing. So it's just about tenths and 100s and thousands of a second between the drivers. So it's quite close, and that I think that's good action for the fans, but it's also accelerating for the drivers as well. I mean, I could hear some of the drivers, they were completely sweating for just doing 3 laps. But it's, I mean, it demands a lot of focus because every millimeter of the track is important.
Such track is more difficult for drivers than a traditional one, and such format is more difficult. What is the difference for the driver?
It's tighter. It's much tighter, and if you go just a little bit too tight on a corner, then you hit the concrete barrier, and then you're off like 2 tenths maybe, or even more. So I would say it's
very technical.
Very, very technical, but it's very fair as well. So it's I mean we STCC is here to demand who's the better driver. Of course, the team is important, and it's important to find a good setup. But we have made this concept quite fair. Of course, you need the engineers. They are always important, but the importance is not as big as it was 3 years ago.
So
and also the tires, for example, we run on regular street tires from Yokohama, which has been a great concept. I mean, the difference in the rain was like 3 seconds. It's nothing. I mean, it's nothing compared to when we run on slicks and rain tires. The difference is much bigger. But now it's we can run on the same tires. We only need the teams are only allowed to have 6 new tires during a weekend. When we drove the older concept with the petrol-based cars, they used about, I know one of the teams with 2 cars had like they had 36 tires for one car for one weekend. So that's a huge difference in
Yes.
the footprint we make as well.
Yes.
And the action is the same for the fans. So I mean, why wouldn't we just
make it sustainable?
make it more sustainable? It's better. And also I would say these tires we run on, we could actually they're not unusable after a weekend like this.
You talked about team, so 4 team took part in these races, and how many people are in this team? Who are these people? I mean, okay, we have drivers, we have technicians, but what are the roles? What they are doing? How they prepare for these races?
Each team has at least one main mechanic per car and one second mechanic, and then there's a data engineer that often take care of one per car maybe, and then there's a main engineer, and then there's a team manager, and then there's also the hospitality of the teams, because you need people that take care of the sponsors. So there's a lot of people, of course, but actually the amount of people is less now on the technical side because there's less to do. I think we should put more focus to the commercial side, to the sponsorship side. The teams need to put more focus on the commercial side. So it's all about sales in the end, as any business. But also this kind of business is also about results, of course.
So for winning, it's more important driver skills than engineering arts.
Yeah, and that's the way
because of the format?
That's the way we want it. I mean, one of the teams are running 6 cars at the moment. It's way too much, but I mean, there's like 2 teams in one team, but you can see that some of the drivers are new. They're not really on the limit yet. Some of them are really experienced. So you can see a difference in the drivers immediately. But it's all about, I would say, it's important for sports with the, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's ice hockey or it's football or whatever kind of sport. It's always the profiles that are doing the sport. So I mean, the drivers are really important in our series.
So you had an experience as a driver. So what is the difference of driving a combustion racing car and electric one? Do driver need to have another skills? It's another experience?
I would say the petrol cars are often, I mean, with the electric cars we have the torque immediately. So when you press the gas pedal, that throttle, then immediately you have power. Petrol engines are slower. So you have you're more one with the car, but also when you have the torque immediately, you need to be very precise. So that is also a skill you need as a driver to be, I mean, every time you're over the edge, you will get a oversteer and then you lose time. So, but also when you're stressed, you will do mistakes like that. So I think when we will race in a field of all cars, then you will see more mistakes being made when drivers are nervous. But I would say it's I can easily compare it with rental cars. I mean, we did rental cars for many years on petrol, but it's dirty, it's smelly, and it's loud, and it's not very nice. So when all the rental, the big, when running a rental cart, it's on electric, it's more even, it's clean, it's not so loud, so the environment is better. So I would say there's the same advantages we have with these cars. It's more even between the drivers. It's not super loud. It's still quite loud, but it's not loud.
There were a lot of small children without...
Well, the funny thing was there was a bunch of girls and boys handing out or selling earplugs.
But they don't need them.
No. That I think they misunderstood something. But they had ponchos as well, so they sold a lot of those. But I mean, it's not noisy. You can hear the cars very very well, but they're not disturbing people 2 miles away. Yeah. So that's kind of good. But also we need, of course, when we do events like this, we need to focus on music, DJs, everything around the event. We still need to make a great event, of course. So we're trying to create that around the event as well. So of course, a race event shouldn't be silent, and we need to. But I don't think that the sound that people talks about, I don't think that's a very big problem. That's more on the upside for us, that we can go into city. Okay, you can hear when we race, but it's not that loud, so people won't be able to talk. So I think that's also a problem that has been in Formula 1, because when I watched Formula 1 in 2008, 9, 10, it was so loud you couldn't be at the event. But now it's actually, they've been criticized because the engines are not they're not so loud anymore. But now no one cares.
No one cares.
No one actually cares anymore, because you've forgotten about the V10s that were that loud. Now it's actually quite good at an F1 Formula 1 race. Now you can talk to people. And I would say talk to people is the most important thing during these events, because it's all about meeting people. It's about business. It's about the commercial side, to be able to, I mean, everyone's that are investing in STCC needs to get something out of it. So we need to connect people. That's what we do.
And what does e-mobility means to you?
E-mobility, I would say e-mobility is the most important thing to get a cleaner city. We cannot go around with old diesel cars in the middle of a city, because it's not good. I mean, maybe on the countryside we don't notice it too much, but in the city I still can't understand why you should go with trucks on diesel. I think when we look at that I would say in the future, 10 years into the future, I think that will not be allowed anywhere. It's not clean. And I think somehow at the moment, right now, petrol-based cars a bit on the upswing again, which is strange. Really strange. But I would see that I don't see any way that it would be better. I mean, we can see on the cost side of running a electric car compared to a petrol car. I mean, there you have the real advantage. When we see on the racing side how expensive it is to run a race car that is based on petrol with a drivetrain that has so many components, and all those components need to work. So we need to service all these components to be able to be on the edge. With an electric car, we have a motor with like 2 moving components, and there's never anything going. It's unbreakable to the torque as well. So I mean, looking from our side and our perspective, I don't see how a petrol-based engine would be the future for the car industry. There will be better batteries, there will be smarter chargers and quicker chargers, and also there will be more chargers. I think that's one thing that will be, and maybe there will be sustainable fuels for trucks going on a very far distance. But I mean, charging, I think that is the most important thing to invest in.
So if you could change one thing in mobility world, what could it be? It would be chargers, more chargers? Yeah,
more charging stations and more, I mean, quicker, smarter chargers, where you also have, I guess we need power banks beside those chargers, because it might be on the countryside, and then you need to have the buffers for those chargers, because it's the same problem we have. We need to take out a lot of energy quite quick. And then there might not be the grid to be able to do it. But when you have the buffer of an energy storage system, then you have the amount of energy, and then you can slowly recharge it with solar energy or from the grid. So then I think on the countryside we need to invest in more charging possibilities, because otherwise it will be hard to run commercial trucks, for example. So the government needs to put more incentives for investing in charging. That is one thing for sure. We need to run the e-mobility forward, and also the politicians and the governments need to do their side of the work. I would say that why there's some kind of a upswing for petrol-based cars at the moment is just because of the government. It's nothing else. We can read about company cars now. They're still continuing to run electric cars because it's the total cost is lower. But somehow for private cars, I guess one thing that you're afraid of is when you're going to vacations, for example. You don't want to stand for 2-3 hours and wait for a charger. I still see that even on holidays now it's much less. There's much more charging stations, but there needs to be more. So.
I hope it will be in the nearest future. Thank you very much for our talk, and thank you for creating new sustainable motorsport.
And thank you for your support.
And our viewers and listeners, I invite to join our next episode of EV Generation podcast that will be published next Thursday on our YouTube channel. And don't forget to join our newsletter and to get first news from e-mobility world.
Fast, charged, electromobile, EV generation. A place where the future becomes reality.